Now, as you may well be aware if you've been watching my recent videos, I'm in the city of Philadelphia in the northeastern part of the United States. And I've looked at a really, really troubled area called Kensington. I've also been to Atlantic City and seen that there are some problems there. But today, I want to give you a little bit more of the story about the guy that's been really helping me out, because my visit to Philadelphia, particularly Kensington, would not have been possible if it wasn't for Jeff and his channel, Jeff's High on Life, which I recommend you check out. There'll be a link in the description below. Now, we were going to start over there at the Rocky Steps, but they're too far away and it's absolutely boiling hot. It's about 30 degrees. So we're here in Love Park. Folks, if you haven't watched the videos already, this is Jeff from Jeff's High on Life.
How y'all doing?
Now, Jeff has got a really interesting, sad in some ways, but ultimately a triumphant story about a battle that he's had. But he also wants to show me the good side of Philadelphia, so we're going to do a walk and talk today. Jeff's going to tell us what street life is like and a life of addiction that he's managed to overcome many years ago. But he's also going to show us a little bit of this city that you swear to me has got more to offer than Kensington.
Listen, I make sure in every video I do about Kensington to try and say a good thing about Philly. I love this city. Look at it. How can you not? You've been walking through here.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
How could you not?
Was it the initial capital of the nation?
Yes, originally. This was the original. The Declaration of Independence is down an old city that way a little bit.
Yeah.
The bell and all that. It's this and Boston were like the two sister cities or whatever early on in America.
At the forming of the nation.
Yeah.
So let's take a wander around, mate. I'm going to follow your lead because I've got no idea where I am.
Right.
And I'm going to ask you some questions, if that's all right.
Absolutely.
About a story that we sort of like briefly mentioned when we were making the Kensington video, but I think there's a lot more to it, and it's a very inspirational story, and I think it can give hope to some people that are struggling. You've seen the scenes in Kensington, folks. I referred to it as a hellscape. Jeff, you spent some time in Kensington on the streets and suffering with addiction.
Yes,
Give people a bit of a synopsis about everything that happened.
So I moved here when I was 15 to the Philadelphia area, and just when I was going to my junior year of high school, I think, and just trying to meet friends. The first guy I met was a huge pot dealer, so I wanted to sell pot just to make friends and stuff like that, and it just led to I got introduced to Vicodins, Percocets, and I didn't realize I didn't know that Philly was, at the time, was the biggest open-air heroin market in the world. North Philly, they used to call it the Badlands. It's a little bit north of Kensington, where I showed you at. If you would have came here in any time from 1990 to 2016, let's say, there would be 10 people on each corner. All you had to do was stop the car, they'd run up. You could get anything from a machine gun to a bag of crack to coke to heroin. It's hard to explain because you saw how crazy that was, and it was 10 times crazier. I mean, it was literally 10 to 15 people on each corner.
So you're telling me that the Badlands back in the 90s was worse than Kensington is now?
Well, it was way more dangerous.
Okay.
It was very dangerous. I always came down from the suburbs. I'm a suburb boy from a good family, and I would have a nice car, and the cops knew that, so they were always looking. Why is this white guy in North Philly to get heroin? So you're constantly getting harassed by the cops, thrown in jail. A lot of times the cops would just beat you up and take your money, and it was crazy back then on the streets.
Yeah.
It's hard to...
For me to try and visualise that it was more dangerous than Kensington is now, I found out today that where we filmed the initial video, there was like a street corner. Yeah. And literally, some of the ladies we were speaking to today, they told me that 20 minutes after we filmed some of our interviews there, 80 rounds, that there was a shooting, that somebody died.
Yeah, over a drug
Other people
dispute.
were grazed,
Over a drug dispute. My friend, she said it was probably over a $40 drug dispute. 80 shots, and they just spray them everywhere. They don't care who they hit.
As long as they get the one.
The one, yeah.
That they're looking
all
for.
The other ones are just collateral damage.
Yeah, just collateral damage.
Shit, but that's that's Philadelphia for you in a nutshell. Like I said, I love this city more than anything. It's also ruined my life more times than I can count, but it is an awesome city. But you also have to keep your, wits about you when you're here.
But now you're rebuilding your life.
Yeah.
So how long have you been sober?
8 years in April. My clean date is April 20th, 2016. So I just had 8 years. I got lucky. I left I got sober right when fentanyl was hitting the streets. Like literally the month.
So you just missed the devil's.
3 of my friends
drug.
that I got high with died from fentanyl when I was in rehab. So I missed it by about 2 weeks. That close, yeah. I got lucky is the only thing I can explain. I just, I lied to a cop because it was a really rainy night out. I had nowhere to go. I said I wanted to hurt myself, and they took me to a psych ward and gave me Suboxone, and then they asked if I wanted a bed in rehab.
So, Jeff, as we wander around, tell me a little bit about when you were on the streets in Philly, in Kensington, and in the Badlands. What was the average day like? I can't even begin to imagine some of the things that you would go through and how dangerous it was.
It was a lot different back then because you weren't allowed to get high and open out in the public. You drive down Kensington Ave, you see people with needles in their necks smoking crack.
Yeah.
None of that was allowed.
Yeah,
so
it's completely open. The cops are just standing by watching.
Yeah.
I kind of like, there's almost nothing they can do because the volume of the use is so high.
How many people are doing it.
But it was a bit more concealed back in the day.
We would, abandos we call them, abandoned houses. We'd go in there and just do our drugs and live in abandoned houses and, until the cops came and raided them and arrested us all and took us to jail. Remember I just showed him the courthouse. I had to give it the fingers. I walked by. I can't tell you how many times I was in that. Going in and out of jail for, just a possession charge of heroin or having a needle on me, something like that. Yeah, it was, the war on drugs was I still say it's the biggest policy failure in American history. We spent something like $5 trillion on it, and you saw Kensington. It's worse than it's ever been.
Yeah, we went for Kensington, and I sort of made the joke about the war on drugs. Definitely didn't work, and you doubled down on my joke.
Yeah, I said I'd like to congratulate the drugs on winning the war on drugs. They won.
we joke about it, but it's awful down there.
Truth, man.
And there's so much misery and poverty, and I can't even come up with superlatives to tell you how horrific it is down there.
Yeah.
But we briefly spoke about the violence that still exists in parts of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
How did you keep yourself protected or safe?
Just, when you live in a city, and a crazy city, you kind of just put your nose to the ground, mind your business, and keep walking.
You very much live day to day.
Yeah.
One of the guys that I spoke to the other day in Kensington, he said if ever there was an apt term, it would be robbing Peter to pay Paul.
Yeah.
That constantly you're fixing one situation, 9 times out of 10 created by narcotics.
Absolutely.
And you're putting yourself in another hole, but you're fixing that short term.
Yep.
It's 100%. Like when Tetris gets faster and faster.
Absolutely. That's a great way to look at it. It's, you got to understand, the minute you get high there, they use that bag, they only have maybe 3 hours to come up with more money to get another bag, or they're going to get sick. See, when I was down here, when it was actual real Mexican heroin, we could do 2 bags a day, and let it and be okay. If you didn't have a lot of money, you could $20. You could make it stretch. I could do a bag and go work construction. That's impossible now with this trank drug and the fentanyl. It's people. You see people just fall asleep. Did you have anyone fall asleep mid-interview yet?
No, not yet.
Oh,
no.
Okay, that happens. I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me.
Yeah.
And I say it's hard to be it's the hardest time in the world to be an active drug user because you can't hide this stuff.
Yeah.
The trank, it's impossible to hide it.
Yeah.
And that's what makes it unfortunate because, at least when I was quote unquote functioning heroin addict, I had people that I could work for, friends that had construction companies. I was still quote unquote a productive member
Yeah.
of society. I did shoot a lot of heroin and I stole stuff, but I was able to kind of contribute, work a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's not possible anymore. The people they do these bags and they're
because of what the gear is,
Yeah.
it's impossible to function.
Well, the xylazine is a large animal sedative, tranquilizer. It's for freaking horses.
Horses, yeah.
It just knocks people into the dirt, and then it.
So a human that's a quarter of the size doesn't stand a chance.
Yeah. They got no chance. I mean, you've seen it, and it doesn't mess up their equilibrium. So that's why they're all bent
Yeah.
over.
So everything else goes, but the legs stay solid.
Yeah, it's so weird. That's what we call it Kensington yoga. That's like what they call it down there.
So Jeff, I've been filming all day.
Yeah.
You've shown me your amazing city. But the other thing, apart from Rocky and the Declaration of Independence, that Philadelphia is so famous for is a Philly cheesesteak.
Yes, sir.
And we're going to grab one in here.
Yes, we're at the Reading Terminal Market right now. There are other more famous places around the city, but there are some good ones here. So yeah, we'll
And
get you a.
they got aircon as well, which is
Yeah.
most welcome on a 28-degree day.
So you want a cheesesteak?
I want a cheesesteak, yeah. I thought I said Satan's cheesesteaks then. Spataros.
Tataros.
Spataros. You might have to order for me, because when I order things like this in America, where you're supposed to know what you're doing, aren't you? You're supposed to go, I want this and that and this
no,
and that.
that's just at those Pat's and Gino's places.
Okay, yeah. But generally, as far as I know, the ones I've had before, although not in Philly, you want to have beef, steak,
Yeah.
it's all like chopped up,
Yeah.
onions, peppers, and that squeezy cheese.
No peppers.
No peppers?
No. Well, hot peppers sometimes or sweet peppers, but normally if you see green peppers in a cheesesteak, you know it's not from Philadelphia.
Okay.
Right?
Is that the truth? I need more than one local to tell me.
It's all I've heard. Yeah. I'm not from here, but
You're not from Philly, where are you from?
North Carolina.
Okay, yeah. So you got the soul food down there, yeah?
Oh yeah.
What's the best thing in North Carolina?
I'd say the fish. Yeah.
The fish, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
there's
that's
good
good.
barbecue down there too.
Yeah, we do got good barbecue. That is very true. Yeah.
What type of barbecue is it there? Is it pork or beef or?
It's usually pork.
Yeah.
Chopped barbecue.
I've been to
yeah.
Georgia and it's pork there.
Oh yeah. They do it's like vinegar based in a lot of parts of North Carolina.
Yeah.
It's real good.
Every state down there's got its own
Yeah.
distinct barbecue.
You try the Alabama with the white sauce?
No,
Have you
I
tried it?
haven't.
Have you heard about it? I heard it's good.
What's that, white sauce barbecue?
It's a barbecue from Alabama, but they use a white sauce on it.
Novel. Interesting.
Something to try. But yeah, if you like green peppers, I mean, get them on there. Normally it's cheesesteak with fried onions.
I want what you have.
I'm not eating this right now. But
Yeah, you've already eaten.
I cheesesteak with fried onions, and I get sauce on the side to dip it in.
I want that squeezy cheese though, whatever you call
The
that.
cheese whiz.
Whiz.
You like that stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. You see, she didn't even ask for green peppers. She said, the sweet peppers.
Okay.
The green peppers on the cheesesteak that happens in other parts of the country, not in Philly.
Jessica,
Cheesesteak with fried onions and whiz. Cheesesteak. What happened? You have whiz, right? No. Cheese sauce, homemade cheese sauce.
let's do that same thing, yeah?
Yeah.
Do you want anything to drink or anything?
No, I'm good.
That's fine.
Thank you, bro.
Sweet, mate.
I'll get the same.
So one thing that's controversial but I approve of, in this country you still have plastic straws.
Yeah.
They don't disintegrate in your mouth whenever you have a drink.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, the lobsters and the flounders don't like it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't get these in Britain anymore.
No,
I don't know if they're illegal, but
Yeah, some places here it's hard to get the plastic straws, but we get them here. Those paper straws, they're horrible.
so what other culinary delights could I procure in here?
Probably I would say the Nick's pork sandwich, the Nick's pork that's with broccoli rabe and then sharp provolone cheese.
So I saw that on. Do you remember Man vs Food?
Yeah.
I remember he ate that. I've always wanted to eat it, and I've already come here and I never thought I would. But I've got to have a cheesesteak.
Yeah.
I wonder what the origins of the cheesesteak are.
So the origins, I kind of know. It was in the Italian market in South Philly, It was just like a butcher, and I think it was old horse-drawn drivers or whatever, just wanting a quick meal, and then there was a butcher guy, and it just was like, just grill some meat and throw it on a piece of bread and give me a sandwich, I'm hungry, something like that, and it kind of just evolved from there. But it's from the Italian market in South Philly. It's apparently where it started.
Are you from Philly, are you, mate?
No, Minneapolis.
Okay, yeah.
But there was a guy shot on Kensington last night. 4 guys came out of LA with shot a guy.
Yeah.
46-year-old guy killed.
Yeah, in a Chinese restaurant, right? Yeah. That's the one I told you about. That's it,
A lot of things could have gone wrong on this trip. I could have got shot, I could have got sued, or I could have even ended up with a bad cheesesteak. But one thing that was never going to happen, I was never going to get stung by pesky roaming charges. That's because I've been using a Saily eSIM to access mobile data while I've been here. You may be asking, what's an eSIM, Wendell? Well, let me explain. It's so easy. An eSIM is inside almost all new mobile phones. You just need to download the Saily app and choose the right data package for the location you're heading to and how much data you need. And don't worry, if you've got an old phone and it's not compatible with Saily, they'll give you a refund. Just install the eSIM and activate it. Saily walk you through the instructions on the app. Simples. No messing around at the destination airport hunting for a local SIM. I just turned my phone on when I landed in Philly, clicked a couple of buttons, and I had mobile data there and then. There are multiple plans available in over 150 different countries. No need to hunt for Wi-Fi, eliminates roaming charges. This is the future of mobile data on your dog and bone. If you travel, you definitely need Saily, so go to saily.com/Wendell and download the app and use code Wendell for an exclusive 15% discount on your first purchase. Safe.
Yeah, did you go down to Kensington yet? It's pretty eye-opening, isn't it?
I thought I was ready for, like I do a lot of content in rough areas of the UK. It's different level, mate, different level. Have you got, in your city, have you got anything that's similar? You got like areas
not like
that are struggling like that? No,
we got areas, but not like that. I have friends with Russell Brand. I was on his show 2 weeks ago, and he was talking about, he's in the addiction recovery. So,
yeah. You know Russell Brand?
Yeah.
That's interesting, yeah.
on
And
his
you
show.
were on his show? Yeah. So what episode's that? I'll check it out.
Yeah, it's called, well, if you give me I'll forward them to you.
Yeah, sure, yeah. You want my email off camera?
He's in Florida today.
Is he, yeah?
Yeah, he came here. He's been doing some work with some of the Trump family and some other folks. But he's very authentic in his change. Very authentic. He's very kind. Very kind.
He's a unique soul, unique spirit.
Yeah.
He's kind of like what we would say in Britain. He's kind of like Marmite. People either love him or hate him. I understand where he's coming from. Like, I understand what he's trying to achieve, even if he's quite brash with how he does it sometimes. Like, I understand the journey that he's on. Yeah. It's amazing in this country how people aren't bothered that you film it. Whereas in the UK, I'd have got kicked out of here now.
Really?
Yeah. Better stop me from filming.
It's in our Constitution.
Yeah.
Nobody can stop you from doing it. Literally, nobody.
Yeah.
Cops, nothing. You can do
I
that.
spoke to the cops. I said, is it okay if I asked him for an interview? He said well, you don't have clearance from... Another guy spoke to me, and I said, can I film your car? He said, sir, you're in the United States, you can film whatever you want to. And the way he said it to me, I almost wanted to salute the Stars and Stripes.
Anything in public you can see, you can film for as long as you want.
It's cheesesteak o'clock. I've eaten a lot of cheesesteaks in my life.
Have you?
Across the states.
Okay.
I even tried to make them at home. I have those shitty ones from Subway at home because that's about the best I can get in Britain. But I'm finally eating a cheesesteak in Philadelphia. So Mark Wiens, get ready. This is going to be the best cheesesteak review of this week.
Oh, it's a seeded roll too.
Is that good or bad?
That's good. For me, it's good.
Well, I'm not going to eat all that now. I'll probably still be eating that by the time I get back to Britain. Am I going to get messy?
You'll be alright. How's it?
That's phenomenal.
You like it?
It's with cheese, it does it?
The cheese sauce, yeah. It's a melted American cheese sauce that they...
The crumbly beef.
Yeah. They didn't have you originally wanted the cheese whiz.
What's the difference?
That's processed, yellow processed cheese. This
is like cheese melted down.
It's like they use like a roux and then melt down American cheese into it. You know?
And it's like it's not just sitting on top; it's like all the way through, all the meat. Yeah,
absolutely.
It's amazing. So we've spoken about the troubles, and the people in the previous video have very much elaborated the horrors and difficulties that they go through on the streets in Kensington and the Badlands. But can you tell us a little bit about the sequence of events that you've told us about when you initially got that lucky break to attempt to get clean? But tell us a little bit about the journey,
all right,
and the hardships and coming off, like those substances.
Absolutely. When I got clean, when I got sober, like I said, 3 of my friends had died while I was in the rehab, and my mom flipped her shit when she found that out, because I was with them people just a couple weeks ago. So there's a shot that's called Vivitrol. You take it and you can't feel it. Like makes you immune to heroin.
Yeah.
And
can you elaborate? Makes you immune?
Well, so it blocks it. It blocks your opiate receptors, so you don't get high from it.
Yeah.
You have to take it every month.
Yeah.
It came out right about the time I got. So I think like 2014 is when it came out. I took it, kind of to shut my mom up, and I didn't have anywhere to go when I was out at rehab, and they offered me a recovery house up in Bucks County, in about 40 miles north of Philly. And I had nowhere to go. I had literally nowhere to go. My parents had kind of laughed at me. I can't, they were in a plus 55 community. I couldn't leech off them anymore.
Yeah.
I had nowhere to go, and I'm like, you know what, the fuck, I'll just go. And I went to a recovery house up in Bucks County, and I don't know what stuck. I just kind of, I think I just got really scared of seeing everyone, that I know just dying left and right. I mean, it was
like it wasn't a game anymore.
No, it was like all the people I know that I used to get high with, there's none of them are alive still. I'm the last one of like the people that I got high with that are still. There's a 1 or 2 kicking out, but like everyone's dead, man. It's just it kind of like scared to, and I told you about my depression and the spicy thoughts I get a lot, and it's but it's scared the I guess the will to want to live into me.
But what's life been like over the last 6 or 7 years since you managed to kick it?
So I've had a kind of a weird little journey through sobriety. I spent a year in a recovery house. That's where you have to follow all the rules, go to meetings and all that stuff. Then I went to a sobriety house, and that's more you get your own room, you can do all your own. You can work when you want. There's no curfews or whatever.
Is that similar to the place we went in Kensington and spoke to Angel?
No, because they don't have to be sober at that place.
Okay. Whereas that was a condition
absolutely.
where you were.
I was drug tested. That they can come to me whenever they want, piss in the cup. And
would you get any chances, or would it be
nope?
Positive test
out, and because it's all about money. Everything's about money here, and they pay you $170. You got to pay $175 a week.
A week?
Yeah, to stay in those houses, and if you get hot urine, they'll kick you out, and they'll put someone right in that bed, and then they'll get twice the amount of pay for that week because you got to leave. You already paid. You're not getting the money back.
So it's big business.
100%. Bucks County, where I live, Levittown, it is huge business, the recovery house business. But let me so when I first got sober and I kind of was surveying my damage, I had a 460 credit score and I was over $60,000 in debt, and that was really overwhelming to deal with. But I mean, it took me 7 years. I'm debt free now though, and I have like a really good credit score. And the only way I was able to do that was living in a sober house because it's cheap, $170 a week for everything.
So how long were you in the sober house?
5 years.
5 years?
5 years,
yeah.
I stayed to myself. I didn't really meet a lot of friends, nothing like that. I put my head down, worked, got out of debt, and I was slowly buying GoPros. I've been told you I've had a dream to start my own YouTube channel for years. And so I was slowly starting to do it and buy stuff, and by staying at that sober house, I was able to buy stuff and get out of
Sure.
debt.
So after you left the sober house about 5 years ago, you then came back to Philly.
No, so I still live in Bucks County. When I left the sober house, I live in a trailer with an older lady. It's like a big double wide. She gets the one half. I have money for an apartment. I have the credit score. I can get it tomorrow. It's so much money to live in America right now.
I can vouch for that. So this trip, 100% would not have been possible. People moan about people doing adverts on YouTube. I've had to pack these videos full of adverts. This is the most expensive country now I've ever been to. I used to come to the States like years ago, and you could get great food quite cheap. You could get a good motel for $80, sometimes $60 if you were in a... Yeah, it is so expensive now. So I understand you.
Yeah, so, I could have gotten a one-bedroom apartment. That would have been $1,500 a month, plus all the utilities. Or I pay this $170 a week, and I just rent a little room. So that's what I decided to do. And I pay $700 a month for rent right now.
Yeah.
And I love it. And it affords me to... I don't have a lot of bills, so I can, I'm going to Puerto Rico next week.
Yeah.
That's where the Trank, the xylazine started. And I'm going to interview people down there. I always, like I told you off air, I credit Bald and Bankrupt with kind of saved my life, if I'm being honest. I was going through a real bad depression. I dealt with depression, pretty much my whole life, on and off. And, I always wanted to start a YouTube channel, but I didn't know what or how or why. And then I started watching Bald, and he just made me want to go visit Eastern Europe or India, wherever he was.
Just explore and document
he made
whatever world you come across.
He made me want to stay alive till his next video came out, if that makes sense.
That's amazing, yeah.
And it's just so trivial to say that, but I credit his YouTube channel with saved my life in a lot of ways. And I wanted to do content just like that, like abandoned houses and stuff, just as a hobby, to stay busy. And I took a trip down, because let me explain it to you. When I got sober, I did not go back near Kensington, North Philly for years.
I can completely understand that.
There's no reason to. Why would I go back there?
Well, there's a massive reason not to go because of triggers. To go back into that negative life cycle.
Absolutely.
And also maybe guilt, maybe I'm putting words in your mouth now.
Survivor's guilt, a lot of them.
And shame, is it fair to say that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I completely ignored it, right? And I got laid off from my job one day. It was in November 2022. And I got laid off, and it was a beautiful, sunny day. And I'm like, you know what? And I you see stuff on YouTube about Kensington, but I've never watched this shit. I didn't. And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go drive down Kensington. Started driving around, and I get on Kensington Ave, and this girl Amber, I've interviewed her about 50 times. Within 2 minutes of being on Kensington Ave, I saw her passed out under a bridge. She had no pants on. Her shirt was ripped off. She had obviously just gotten assaulted. I didn't know how to react to it. I was crying right there. I had a panic attack. I'm like, what the hell is going on here? I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should kind of show what's going on here. And then I decided that if I was going to do it, I wasn't going to show the people when they were shooting up and nodding out, and I was going to try and do it in a respectful way as possible. That's why I like to do the interviews in my car. It's like a one-on-one thing, and
bit of a safe space for people on the streets,
and I always,
at least for 10 or 15 minutes.
And I always have donations or wound care stuff. I usually have food in the car, and a lot of the people, because I interview them multiple times, more than once.
There's another aspect to your channel that we're just going to sort of broach upon now, broach upon, whichever one you choose. But you have an audience that is interested in the subjects that you interview, don't you?
Yes.
So they regularly do enjoy the updates because they're hoping for a positive outcome for these people in negative life cycles.
Yes, and absolutely. And Honestly, a lot of it is the family members of the people I interview. It's their only way that they get to see their loved ones. And I talk to a lot. I've shown you some of the messages I get from the loved ones, the family members, the moms. You interviewed that lady Tila today. She was missing for 3 years.
Yeah.
And her mom found her through my interview.
Yeah, a lot of people go into Kensington, into the crazy world, and they disappear within those few
For
blocks,
sometimes
yeah.
forever.
and they
Never come out.
and no parents or family or loved ones are ever going to go into that
Would you
neighborhood.
go around walking around knocking on doors looking for people down there?
Absolutely not. But I'll tell you something, right? This is something I want to thank you for. Before we got in touch, I was prepared to go in and investigate Kensington on my own. Yeah, and now I just realised that would not have been possible, mate.
Yeah, I don't think it would have been
It is. I thought I was prepared for what that hood's like.
Yeah,
Nothing could have prepared me.
yeah.
And I think the reason why your content is, I think, some of the most genuine and best content for people to watch that comes out of Kensington. I think it's because you were in that life. You completely understand how the world works, what these people are going through, and how to move in that society.
And a lot of the people down there know that I am a recovering addict, and that means a lot to them. There's some YouTube channels down there that are very predatory, and they will do GoFundMes for people and keep the money, and there's a lot of money to be made down there, and a lot of the people I interview appreciate me because I'm not judging them. They know I don't ask them embarrassing questions. They can call me whenever they want, and if I'm around, I'll come help them. They can sleep in my car if they need to. Any of that stuff, It's I think the most important part of my channel is keeping in contact with the people I do interview. It's very personal for me down there.
I can tell, mate. Yeah.
Very, very personal. I genuinely love those people down there. And I just went to my friend Dominique's funeral 2 weekends ago. And you asked me about the guy Frank. His funeral was last month. And they're just dropping dead left and right. Man.
I can't even imagine. I asked this gentleman Frank. I asked Jeff, I've seen a few videos of him in. Is there any way we can have a chat with Jeff? Because I just took to him as a character, And then Jeff just tells me that he's no longer with us.
Yeah.
And that must be, hard for you making this content, making these friends.
Yeah, him and his girlfriend Charlie both died within a month of each other. And that's tough, Charlie was younger, 25-year-old, beautiful girl. Comes from a great family. Just got one of these sores and would not go to the hospital, and then the sepsis, the infection took over. Well, it is such a personal thing to me, Kensington, and what's going on down there. I wanted to keep it as raw as possible. But as you know, I am going to start traveling to other cities and to show what the fentanyl and what the xylazine is doing all across the country now. It's everywhere. I don't know how much rougher it can get in Kensington.
I don't know. But people are going to tell me they're going to, I've said that Kensington is most probably America's roughest hood. They're going to say, no, this hood's rougher, that hood's rougher. They say it to me about places I go in Britain, and I can only say it as I see it, but I have never been anywhere, let alone made video content in my life that is anything like Kensington. That place is ready to go off at any moment.
Like you moved your interviews into my car just out of the safety.
Yeah, out of a safety aspect.
Yeah.
The first few interviews, I hit the streets and did exactly what I do in Britain. I would interview people just on street corners and people I approach. But the everything moves so quickly. Yeah. The world in Kensington changes.
There was that one guy kind of walking around you when you were interviewing.
Yeah.
That's why I was following him around just to make sure nothing was going to pop.
And this is what would have happened if Jeff hadn't been with me. Then he
probably would have thrown a bottle at you.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I can't have
you.
my eyes in the back of my head all the time because I'm focusing on the person that I'm interviewing.
Well, you even saw the one channel I don't like. They go around with armed security guards. Which is,
When you were on the streets and you're in this negative life cycle that we're talking about, what's the worst thing that happened to you in terms of personal safety?
So I was I wasn't even. I was in Philly to go to a bar in North Philly that we used to go to watch a boxing match, and I was smoking cigarettes at the time, and we went outside to smoke a cigarette, and I didn't have any left. My car was across the street, and I went over there, and I didn't realize it was like 3 or 4 younger kids ran up, and one hit me in the back of the head with a baseball bat.
And that's the scar.
Yeah, and what happened was,
Yeah.
by the time the cops came, I woke up, and I refused medical treatment. And so I had an aneurysm, a brain bleed, and it turned into a big blood clot. And I woke up one morning about a month later, and I was paralyzed from the nipples down. And there was a scary morning. The doctor said it was the biggest blood clot he's ever seen in a non-fatal, like a brain blood clot, non-fatal one. It's the biggest one he's ever seen. Gotten robbed a bunch of times. Shot at it once or twice, but more like...
You got shot at once or twice?
Yeah, but,
what would that situation be?
Well, I was trying to. I didn't have money, so I told you the open air drug markets used to just drive up to the corner and they would just run to your. And I had a bunch of fake money. I had like one real 20. I had to put a bunch of fake one. I was like, I need 10 bags or whatever. Gave him the money, and as soon as he grabbed it, and I just started taking off, and he knew right away, and I just started whap, 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 and then there was like one bullet wound in the back of my car or something like that. But it was my own dumb fault trying to rob drug dealers. I was a maniac back then when I was getting high. Like I said, I came from a really good family, and I always had money, so I knew I could always get bailed out of jail, or I could always call my dad. My dad's like the greatest human being on the earth. My mom is too, but they would always bail me out. So nobody thought I was going to be the one that's still alive. They were like, if you could interview any one of my friend group, they would all say, Jeff should be dead.
So in that friend group, they expected you to be the first one to go, not the only one to survive.
I'm the only one alive still right now. Yeah, it's crazy how that happens. But if there was like a poll, everyone would have voted for me to be the first one to die. I just didn't, I didn't really care about anything. I just wanted to get high, and I didn't care about repercussions or getting in trouble, or just didn't give a shit.
He's not human, he's like iron.
Yeah, these are the famous Rocky steps.
I can see why he was so fit, because I just ran up here and I'm fucked.
You're out of breath already.
Yeah.
You get a lot of flack about Kensington and North Philly when people talk about Philly. But there's so much to offer here, man. If you guys have the chance to come visit, please come. Don't listen to the dumb shit. Just, book tickets, come. Walk around Center City, you'll love it. I'm glad you took the trip out here. It's something that needs to be seen worldwide, what's going on in Kensington. It's coming your guys' way, whether you guys like it or not, the fentanyl. And then the xylozine's gonna come later. I'm already getting some reports that it's been, fentanyl's been showing up in Bristol and what's the other, Manchester.
Yeah.
It's just so much cheaper to get and easier to get now than actual heroin. So there's gonna be a lot of death and a lot of misery when it does come over there. So if you guys do get high, just please get fentanyl test strips if you can. Once it starts over there, like here, you can get them for free anywhere, and you can just test. A lot of like the painkillers and the Xanax around here, they're all fake and they're pressed with fentanyl, and it's gonna be over there at some point. And just be safe as you can with it.
Thank you so much for showing me around, mate.
Absolutely.
This trip would not have been possible without Jeff's help. And do check his channel out. I think it's a channel that's going to keep growing, and especially with his content coming from Puerto Rico soon. Might even be out by the time I put this video up. Check it out. It's called Jeff's High on Life. And if you're ever in Philly, then maybe reach out to Jeff.
Yeah, if you ever, you can hit me
He's
up.
on Instagram, he's on all that.
Instagram, Facebook, and then YouTube.
Yeah, it's unique content, it's humane content, and it's really eye-opening. So, Yeah, it's been a blast, mate.
Awesome. I appreciate everything.
Cheers, man.